Speaking of crimes that shook the world, let's talk about the Manson family. In a shocking crime that took place on August 9th, 1969.
Persons, including actress Sharon Tate, were found dead at the home of Miss Tate and her husband, screen director Roman Polanski. In all my years, I have never seen anything like this before.
Sharon Tate, who was pregnant at the time, and 4 of her affluent friends were brutally murdered in their home. The world would soon learn the identity of the perpetrators responsible for this horrific act.
I just remember she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was blood all over her and stab wounds in her pregnant stomach. It was awful.
Charles Manson and his notorious Manson family. Today, we have a clearer understanding of the extent of evil and madness surrounding Manson. Charles Manson's upbringing played a significant role in shaping his path towards darkness. Born to a teenage mother, Manson was not given a name on his birth certificate and was referred to as Nameless Maddox. Soon after, his mother sold him for a pint of beer to a childless woman, but Manson was found by his uncle the following day. Had he been raised by someone other than this troubled individual, his life might have taken a different course.
I am a street child. I'm a runaway little girl at 15 years old out of Kentucky named Kathleen Maddox. I didn't have a husband.
There's only one recorded instance when Manson received a hug, which happened when his mother and brother were released from jail after an attempted robbery.
My mother went to prison for 5 years for strong-arm robbery. Her brother had to deal a trick in off the street and put the yoke on him to get some money to eat.
Manson, notorious for his association with murder, never personally killed anyone. Instead, he delegated the act to his family members, who may have been responsible for multiple killings. Some of these murders went unattributed due to the perpetrators already being on trial for other crimes. Manson's troubled youth involved stints in prison for offenses like pimping and shoplifting. During his time behind bars, he briefly showed interest in Scientology and explored self-help literature. Surprisingly, Manson preferred prison as it provided him with a sense of peace, raising concerns about his ability to adapt to life outside. Following his release from prison, Manson relocated to San Francisco and later Berkeley. Immersed in the hippie culture, he reinvented himself as a spiritual leader, easily attracting drug-addicted individuals who used pacifism as an excuse for substance abuse. Exploiting his growing influence, Manson formed his family, primarily composed of young women whom he provided with drugs, alcohol, and sometimes used intimidation to control and engage in sexual activities. Presenting himself as the leader of a formal cult, Manson propagated the belief that his followers were the reincarnations of persecuted early Christians, with the Romans now representing the establishment. Despite never explicitly stating it, Manson began to view himself as the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, recounting dreams of his crucifixion and adopting the name Charles Willis Manson to draw parallels to Jesus as the Son of Man.
I'm just another guy walking down the road going, how many times I got to go, God, I've got a face and a print. What is it?
The use of hallucinogens likely aided in promoting this distorted belief among his devoted followers.
He robbed us from our parents, and he gave us back to ourselves.
Manson babysat actor Al Lewis, who is well known for portraying Manson's grandfather in The Munsters, frequently watched Manson's children. Later, Lewis said that Manson was always a nice guy during the time he knew him. The penicillin-budget Manson family included primarily of women, some as young as 14, and was essentially one big sex cult. Unsurprisingly, penicillin injections for the family's chronic gonorrhea were one of their biggest costs. They had no respect for safe sex. The family racked up a $21,000 medical bill for gonorrhea at one point. The great manipulators Manson and his family were skilled con artists. The family got involved in influencing everyone from criminals to Hollywood actors under his leadership.
And when I got out, all your children would come to me because they never had anybody tell them the truth.
Manipulative influence and family rules. Manson exerted his influence over a prominent member of a motorcycle gang by letting him access to the women in his family. Manson convinced the biker that he was sexually inadequate and that the family's unity relied solely on his supposed boast sexual prowess. The women willingly participated in this deception. As for family rules, Manson imposed strict guidelines, including a prohibition on books. He extended his control by banning calendars, clocks, watches, and even glasses, claiming a desire for his followers to appreciate the world's natural beauty. This left them entirely dependent on him for information. Also, the Beach Boys connection. The Beach Boys, known for their exceptional American music, potentially played a role in the Manson murder spree. Beach Boys drummer Dennis Wilson picked up 2 hitchhikers and brought them to his house. Later, he encountered them again in the same location, leading to significant consequences. During their encounter, Wilson drove the hitchhikers to his house, where they introduced him to the enigmatic guru Charles Manson. Leaving the women at his home, Wilson went to the studio for a late-night recording session. Upon his return the next morning, he was surprised to find Manson waiting in his driveway. Fearing a robbery, Wilson asked Manson if he intended to harm him. To Wilson's relief, Manson assured him he had no such plans and even engaged in acts of submission, such as kissing Wilson's feet. Inside the house, Wilson discovered 12 additional individuals, mostly young women from the Manson family. Wilson allowed the family to stay at his home for several months, with the women serving both him and Manson. He even covered significant expenses, including the cost of a car that the family had borrowed and subsequently destroyed. However, tensions arose between Wilson and Manson, leading to their separation out of fear for Wilson's safety. Had Wilson not embraced the family, Manson's ability to expand and maintain his following might have been hindered, potentially altering the course of the violent events that would soon unfold. The influence of the Beatles should also be considered, as Manson developed a belief in an imminent race war.
Helter Skelter is what? Race war? How long has there been a race war? How long have we been in race war? English? How long have we been at war with races? Since we come out of caves and you didn't like Irishmen? It's been a race war. All my life I've been in the middle of a race.
Following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., Manson's growing paranoia was fueled by the Beatles' White Album, particularly the song Helter Skelter. Despite its nonsensical lyrics, Manson believed the song contained hidden messages about an impending race war. This irrational interpretation showcased his distorted perception.
I got a different way of doing everything. I got my own way, you know. Does that make me bad?
Makes you violent and bad, yeah.
I'm only as violent as I have to be. If I don't have to be violent, I'm not. But I was raised up to where if you didn't fight, you got
Additionally, Manson's exposure to Scientology while in prison further contributed to his manipulative tactics, as he learned from his cellmate, Layette Raymer, who was a high-ranking Scientologist. However, rather than becoming a convert, Manson turned the tables on Raymer and adapted the techniques for his own purposes. Eventually, he distanced himself from Scientology, considering it too absurd even for him. In his twisted plan to initiate a race war, Manson targeted influential white individuals, hoping they would falsely blame black people and incite violence. However, the intended race war did not materialize, and Manson's actions were misguided. Seeking revenge against a record producer who rejected him in his failed music career,
They came to the ranch, lady. I didn't go to them. They came to me. You're stealing my music every day. You're writing my songs. You're playing my game.
Manson instructed Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, and Linda Kasabian to go to 10050 Cielo Drive and commit murder. However, Manson was unaware that the house was actually occupied by actress Sharon Tate and her husband, Roman Polanski. Acting solely on the directive to kill everyone present, the 3 family members carried out the brutal murders. There you have it. For more content on notorious crimes, you can explore our channel's top picks, like this video, and do well to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.